is I'm not as prepared this morning as I would like to be. I didn't know I was going to be here until Thursday afternoon. I didn't know I was going to be coming here to make a presentation on Thursday afternoon. Well, I was out of town, and I talked to Mr. Sam Cook, and Mr. Sam Cook said, well, I'd like to have you a PowerPoint presentation tonight if you can get it to me so I can print out these agendas and then have you hand out. So I said, okay. So I got home and worked on, took an old PowerPoint I had and kind of made some changes and then sent it to him. I think it was about 9:30, and I said, well, he don't have it anymore. Well, as soon as I sent it to him, he sent me back an email. Thanks. So he was up there waiting on me to send mine in. I'm glad I didn't wait till Friday morning to get it to him. So, but anyhow, if y'all have any questions, this is going to be very informal. Raise your hands and just ask questions. I hate to be the person standing between you and food, but that's how things worked out on the agenda.
Let me say one thing. This is a perfect example of that we're always looking for new partners. Farm Service Agency was a group that when we first entered into the agreement was left out of the whole picture. Got everyone on the USDA side, rural development, and in RCS. But before I got here and we sat down and started looking, I said, well, without that group, we're missing one important piece of the wheel. So over the last 3 weeks, we have worked to make sure that they got involved and be part of the process. And their boss, Harry Ott, the director for the state, put his commitment on it and stamp and says, we want to be part of it. And they worked hard to get him here today. So we appreciate it.
Mr. Harry Ott is, he just took over the position, and I think July 1st was his first day. So he's actually a farmer, been a long-time, full-time farmer in Calhoun County, and he understands land ownership, he understands farming, he understands timber business from the standpoint of an individual landowner. So he wanted to make sure that we had some representation here in any group across the state to make sure that everybody's filled in on what it is that we do. Now, as far as cost share programs, we used to have cost share programs, but NRCS stole those programs from us several years ago. I'm just teasing Fred back there. But we work hand in hand. We basically take care of all the administrative process and setting farm members up and having that database up to date. And Fred comes in and he does all the technical and administrative work from the cost share standpoint on his end. So it's almost like we are sister agencies in this process of cost share. I did like that first slide that Mr. Sam Cook put up this morning about timber investment beats the streets, beats Wall Street. Because about a year and a half ago, I bought a small tract of timber from Bede West Vaco. So I was real happy to see that slide. But I got my feelings hurt when Kip started talking about this landowner that just got $19.50 for a tract of land, the tract of timber that they sold, because about 4 months ago I signed a contract to sell my timber for $12.50. I'm feeling real bad right now, so y'all will have to bear with me on that.
That was Putwood?
Yeah.
That's a good price.
Yeah, it was a good price at the time. And like he said, this has been a bad year for a lot of rain. So if you had high timber land that was going to be needed to be cut, or you wanted to have it cut and it was ready, it sold at a premium. So that individual came out pretty good. Like I said, I'm with Farm Service Agency, and I put this in here. This is a fiscal year 2013 overview. Now, what I'm going to go over is programs that we had in existence under the old Farm Bill, which expired October 1st of 2013. The last day of the old Farm Bill was actually September 30th, 2013. We do have some of the programs that had carryover, and I will explain what those programs are. But as I go through this, just please understand that what I'm doing is going over 2013, the old Farm Bill, actually. And that's just telling you about that right here. Now, the most popular one y'all probably want to hear about is the CRP, or the Conservation Reserve Program. A lot of y'all may have heard this program referred to as a pine tree program. Well, it is a pine tree program. But there are also a lot of other practices that we use under the Conservation Reserve Program. And somebody explained it earlier that this is a program that you lay out your land, don't farm it, and the government will pay you for it. Well, that's one way you might want to look at it, but the other, really the other process is that the government has come up with a plan to take the more sensitive conservation land out of agricultural production and put it in a conserving use program. And one of them is, one of the practices is that you plant it in pine trees. That's a practice we have under the Conservation Reserve Program. Now, this Conservation Reserve Program has been in existence for a little over 20 years now. Actually, probably going on 30 years. And we have had a sign-up every single year since this program came out. So when Congress decides to pass a new farm bill, I'd be willing to bet money that the Conservation Reserve Program is going to be a program that it continues to be in the farm bill. Some of the eligibility requirements on this program: you must be an eligible producer, which has basically owned or operated the land for at least 12 months. And there's some exceptions that apply if you inherited the land, or a couple other exceptions, but as a general rule, you've got to have that land either owned it or operated for 12 months. And the eligible land in this program, the only land that's out there is just cropland. It can't be cut over woods. It can't be any swampland or anything like that. It has to be actual in cropland when you go to apply for the program.
So if they've got grass growing,
if there's grass growing,
that could be considered hay.
Yeah, if it's hay, it's not eligible.
Okay.
If it's a pasture, it's not eligible. It actually has to be cropland, and it has to be planted or considered planted to an agricultural commodity for 4 of 6 crop years from 2002 to 2007. Now that is wording that was in the last farm bill. Now it's always been 4 of 6 crop years, but that crop year timeline has changed from farm bill to farm bill. And the last farm bill had to be planted between 2002 to 2007. 4 of those 6 years it had to be planted. And like I said, some of the popular practices is, of course, pine trees and riparian buffers, which are basically just a buffer area between the actual cropland field and a ditch or water body. There's strips for that. Wildlife habitat buffers, the filter strips, and shallow water areas for wildlife and longleaf pines. Now this, excuse me, shallow water areas for wildlife is just that. Like I said, it had to be cropland. And if you wanted to install that practice, basically we would pay you, cost share with you to go out there and establish those shallow, which is what? Is it 3 feet deep, Fred?
What's that now?
These shallow water areas for wildlife? I think they can't be over 3.
18 to 24 inches.
Okay, so 1.5 to 2 foot. To install that, I don't know that we've got any in Colleton County, do we, Fred?
Not
Under the CRP program? And then we've also got a continuous sign-up period, a continuous sign-up contract from 10 to 15 years. And when I say that continuous sign-up, that's usually a sign-up period under this program that is ongoing. But the only practices that are eligible to be signed up in there are your more environmentally sensitive areas, like some of these wildlife habitat buffers and longleaf pines. One of those. But like I said, this is not a program that is currently available, but I'm sure it will be in the new farm bill. This is the program that is out. It went out at the end of September. It was our directed countercyclical payment program. Basically, it was an annual sign-up program that every year you came in and signed up. If you had a farm that had historical plantings and it had a base history of crops planted on that farm, we were able to take an average of those years, develop a base history, and sign you up in this annual program. It didn't require you to plant anything or have anything planted at the time you signed up. or that year you sign up. You can just, you could have left it fallow. And here again, this is a cropland program. This is a program that is still in existence and will be in existence during the starting in 2013. We're taking applications for this program right here. It's called the Non-Insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program, and the acronym for that is NAP, N-A-P. And basically what that is we will insure those crops that federal crop insurance will not insure for whatever reason. Crop insurance does not insure every crop that is planted in the United States. For those crops that they do not insure, we will come in and provide insurance under this non-insured crop disaster assistance program. And all it costs is $250 a crop. And we will insure that crop at a 50% expected production level and a 55% of the market price on that crop.
What's an example of that in this area? Is there an example?
Watermelons, tomatoes, turnips, collards. Excuse me. Those are generally under the NAP program. Your crops in this area are going to be your fruits and vegetables. If anybody's planting fruits and vegetables for commercial production, crop insurance doesn't have enough statistical evidence to show good coverage levels, so they don't deal with that crop. That's where we come in, and basically under that crop, you can provide what you have planted over the last 4 years, and we'll take your actual yield and base your coverage on what you're actually capable of producing. Any other questions on the NAP program? This is one of the programs that is out with the old Farm Bill and probably will be back in the new Farm Bill. We call it marketing assistance loans and loan deficiency payments. Those crops, and they're commodity crops, your cotton, corn, soybeans, wheat, oats, barley, rye, peanuts, any of your major row crops, we provide a marketing assistance loan. What's that? What we do under that program is we go and once you produce the crop and harvest the crop and you have it in storage, we'll come and make you a small loan on what you've got out there. And basically what this program does is it allows you to play the market, the commodities market. You've got that production there, you haven't marketed it yet to be sold, we'll come in and give you some money under a loan program to allow you to sit there and play the market. As a general rule, when you're harvesting a crop, that's generally the lowest price you get. So we provide some funds for you under that loan program so that you can wait and play the market. Yes, ma'am?
Are there some guidelines regarding, the size of your item?
No, ma'am. It's just that if you produce that crop and you come in our office and you've certified that you have produced it, or you have planted it, and then when you come in, you harvest that crop. Once you harvest it and have it in storage form, we'll come and make you a loan. There is no limit as far as how much you have to produce. All right, the Emergency Conservation Program. This is what we refer to as the ECP. Under this program, this is a program that was under the old Farm Bill, and it probably will be under the new Farm Bill. However, that's a program that is only funded by Congress on an annual basis. And what that program does is it provides emergency assistance to farmers and landowners when you have a situation such as, let's say we got a flood and it destroyed some of your farmland. It'll help us to come back in there. It's kind of like a cost share program to help you establish your farm back to pre-disaster conditions. Now, we're not going to pay 100% of the cost, but we will help you out. And that cost share generally runs about 50% to help you reestablish that farm. And another disaster that's covered is tornadoes. If you have a situation where we have a tornado come through and it tears up fencing and it blows down some sheds, it'll help us pick up that debris that cost of picking up the debris. But it won't help you go back and reestablish that shed as it was. That's going to be covered, should be covered under your insurance policy, your hazard insurance policy. But that cost share program will help us help you take care of the debris and haul the debris off. I don't know if you can read that too well, but this is the livestock indemnity program. This is one of the programs that actually did not get funded last year. It was not an extension, but that is a program out there, and it provides benefits to livestock producers for livestock death in excess of normal mortality caused by adverse weather conditions, including hurricanes, floods, blizzards, disease, wildfires, extreme heat, and extreme cold. A lot of these cattle, poultry, swine, goats, and sheep, this has been a program that we have used here in South Carolina a couple years ago when we had that high heat. I think it was back in 2011. We had several producers that had these poultry houses. That the excessive heat caused the electrical systems in these poultry houses to malfunction, and it cut all the fans off, and it just killed all the chickens in those big long houses. They just can't take that heat. So we were able to go in and provide them a little bit of assistance through this program. Livestock forage program, this is another one that was not extended through the last farm bill, but it's possibly could be one that's in the new farm bill. But it's if you just have a disaster condition like drought that destroys your pasture, we're able to come in and help you out through this program right here. And this livestock forage disaster program is also one of those programs that has to be funded every year through Congress in the old farm bill. And if this is one of the programs that's in the new farm bill, it'll probably have the same wording, and it has to get annual appropriations through Congress in order to be eligible to be used. Farm storage facility loans. This is the program that we can come in and help you put in grain bins, put in cold storage if you are a fruit and vegetable producer, and it's a low interest loan. We could go up to 12 years on a repayment. And generally, we can actually lend up to $500,000 to put these facility loans in, or these facilities in. And depending upon the length of the term, it could be 7 years, 10 years, or 12 years. Depends on what the interest rate is. And that interest rate changes every month. I think this month it's about 1.5%. So it's a real low interest on that. Once you close the loan, that interest rate stays with that loan for the life of that loan. So once you lock it in, it's not going to fluctuate. The only issue here is that if your loan amount is over $50,000, we've got to get a mortgage on the land. So, yes, ma'am.
What size farm do you have to have for these loans? What qualifies you? Is this the 10 acres also?
Well, no, the 10 acres is kind of a real estate tax with the assessors. In order, but there is no amount of, you have to show there's a form that you fill out that we calculate your need for a facility. And basically, depending upon what your crop is, now we can make loans for, let's say if you were a collard producer, and you needed to store those collards for a short period of time before you got them to the sale point.
Right.
We could help you do that based on the acres that you had been producing over the last 3 years.
Okay.
We take an average of what you've been producing over the last 3 years and look at that.
And just to clear up something, forestry project is based on the 10-acre process. USDA Farm Service agencies, they're working with all levels.
Yeah,
From
you
zero
can have
to
1,000-acre farm
Yeah.
to a 1-acre farm.
And so we're talking strictly the forestry aspect when we deal with the 10-acre piece.
Right.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I ask one more question? All of these that I'm seeing now seem to be based on prior years. How about startup? this is what you want to do and transition into?
We'll get to some loans in a minute, but basically, these programs right here are what your existing program right now, your
Okay.
existing business right now. But I'll talk about some loans in a few minutes, and those loans, we've got loans for startup operations, if anybody is interested in starting up an operation. But this is basically one of those programs that we have for currently existing farms. Any more questions on farm? Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you have any loans or incentives for energy conservation or, you know, environmental stuff, recycling or reusing of?
We don't have any, well, actually, we don't have any grants or any loans for those type of concerns. Rural development has a, I think they call it REAP.
It's a REAP program.
It's Rural Energy Assist, anyhow, it's REAP. And they, if you've got an existing operation and you're using electricity or propane or some type of commodity like that, if you can go to them and ask for a grant, and you have to propose to them what you're wanting to do, how much you're currently using, how much these new practices that you're going to install are going to save, and it's kind of a long process, or the application is a long process, but they do have an energy conservation program. It's a grant program. But I used to know their website, but
It's in, it'll be part of the next
okay.
session.
It's rural development, but they are a USDA agency as well. Any other questions on this? All right, this is what, if you don't already have a farm number established in our office, some of the things you're going to have to bring with you, or the things you'll have to bring with you, is basically your full legal name, of course, address, your social security number. If you have an email address, it would be good for you to give us that, and your phone number or phone numbers. Now, the reason we ask for an email address is because of budget reasons. This year, they told us, National Office, Washington told us that we're not going to be sending out any more hard copy newsletters that you get in your mail. Because that costs money, that costs paper, that costs time in the office to get those things taken care of and mailed. The easiest thing for us to do that saves us a lot of money is actually sending out these new newsletters by email. So they have basically said we're not going to be sending out any more newsletters. So you really, in order to get update information from our office, we need your email address. If you don't have email address and you don't have access to internet, we've got a phone number that you can call your local office and say, hey, what's going on? What do I need to know? And one of the other things I did not tell you about this address, this our web address, is that on that we've got a link to every county office in the nation. All you got to do is click on local county offices, and it pulls up a map of the United States. All you got to do is click on South Carolina, and it'll pull up South Carolina, and then click on your county. And that county, when you click on your county, it'll give you all the contact information you need. It'll give you the local address to that office. It'll give you contact information as far as phone numbers. It'll even give you phone numbers for the different people in our office, whether it be a farm loan manager or whether it be the county executive director of the Farm Service Agency in that county. Some of the other things we're going to need from you. Excuse me. In order to establish a farm, we've got to have a copy of the deed and plat if you have it. But plat's not required, but it would be very helpful for us to start out with if we had a copy of the plat. But we're going to have a copy of the recorded deed. If you don't have a recorded deed, we could, in order to establish your farm, have an unrecorded deed, as long as a specific program you're trying to enroll in does not require a recorded deed. Now, a Conservation Reserve Program requires a recorded deed, and some of the other programs we have do not require a recorded deed. But CRP is one of those that you do need a copy of a recorded deed. If you don't have those two, we can establish a farm by a land purchase contract, which basically means if you're in the process of buying land and you've got a valid land purchase contract that shows where this land is located and that you are the owner, as long as you keep making your purchase amount of money to the individual. And we can actually, in some of our office, we have access to the local tax assessor's office, and we can pull up this information. However, not all of our offices have that access. We've got a few in the state that do. I know Calhoun County is one of them. I don't think anybody's here from Calhoun, but Calhoun County is one of those. And then if you've got a real estate tax assessment or a bill that shows that you are the owner, that you are the one that is actually owner of that land, we can establish a farm number for you. Any questions about that? All right, here's our farm loan program. Basically, our mission is to provide loans, loan guarantees, business planning to eligible farmers, ranchers, and others to promote, build, and sustain family farms in support of a thriving agricultural economy. Are you eligible? Who is eligible? Some of the statutory loan criteria include unable to obtain other financing. Basically, if you can go to Ag South Farm Credit or you can go to Bank of America and they welcome you, they bring you in, they sit you down and ask you how much money you want. We can't help you. We're going to help those people that cannot get loan funds from your commercial lenders like Bank of America, BB&T, South Carolina Bank and Trust, agricultural farm credits. You've got to have the farm training or experience. It wouldn't behoove us and it wouldn't help y'all if y'all were to come in and say, hey, I want to start growing bok choy on my farm. We're going to ask you, well, where's your experience? Where's your training? Well, I don't have any, but it looks like a real profitable organization to buy this from. You've got to actually have training and experience. You've got to have either worked on a farm and gone through that process. You've had to go to training sessions, Clemson Extension to show that shows you how you can grow this crop or this commodity and make a profit. You got to be credit worthy. That basically means you got to show that you can pay your bills. If you come in and we pull a credit report, you got 20 accounts on there and all 20 of them are past due, we're not going to be able to help. You got to be an operator of a family farm. We're not going to actually make loans to people who own big corporate farms, because that's just not our business. They're already in business. We don't need to be making loans to people who have are operating huge farms. You got to be a U.S. citizen or have a green card, be a legal permanent resident, and there are a couple other specifics to some of the individual programs, but we won't get into those right now. But they're just, take for instance the farm ownership loan program. In order for us to get into to be able to loan you some money, you've got to actually been farming for the last 3 years in order for us to make you a farm ownership loan, which basically means money to purchase land. So you've got to actually show that you've been farming the last 3 years. You've got to have repayment ability. You've got to show us that you can make a profit. There's no sense in putting you in debt if you're going to lose money. That's bad business for us and for y'all. And you've got to have adequate collateral. If you come into my office, one of our offices, and say, hey, I want $300,000 of loan funds, well, on top of all these other things, we're going to have adequate collateral to secure that loan that we make. And this is there's basically two types of loans that we have. We have a direct loan and we have a guaranteed loan. The direct loan is just that. You deal directly with us. And we're the ones, we are the lender, you are the borrower. Under the guaranteed loan program, basically there's a third party involved. The bank. You actually go to the bank and get a loan with the bank. The bank comes to us and says, hey, I want to guarantee this loan with this individual. That's the two different types of loan programs we have. Well, under the direct loan program, we've got an operating loan program, which basically means it's a loan program that we will help you purchase equipment, seed, chemicals, anything to grow that commodity, whether it be livestock, crops, corn, wheat, soybeans, collards, whatever it is. That's the operating loan. The farm ownership loan is basically that. We help you buy, we'll make a loan to you to purchase land. Farm ownership loan down payment. Here again, this is a third-party type deal. We'll make you 50% loan. The bank comes in and makes 40% loan, and then you put up 10%. Now, the beauty of that program is it automatically creates equity because you're putting in 10%. The other thing is it helps us because we only have to provide 50%. And we do have limited funding, so this is always an issue. And this is sometimes how we have to get around our limited funding, by using a bank to help us with the farm ownership. And then the emergency loans. If you're a current farm operator, you have a drought, you have a tornado, you have a flood that comes through and wipes out your farm, you need some assistance to get back on your feet. We'll make you a loan for that. And these micro loans are a little bit easier. There's not as much paperwork involved, but they're limited to $35,000. So if you have a request that's $35,000 or less, we can put you on the micro loans, and it can get processed a whole lot quicker. And then the guaranteed loan program is dealing with banks, and we've got the same operating loan and farm ownership loan process there. I think I have gone over by a few minutes, but this is basically what my program consists of. Is there any questions?
One question. You talked a lot about the farming aspect, and these guys in the room, they're all about growing trees now.
Right.
Why do they need a farm track number?
Why do they need a farm track? Good question. The reason you need a farm track number is so we can track your business through our agency. It's all about assigning a number. The government is good with assigning a number. The government's the one that came up with the Social Security number. So we have to have a number to keep up with everything. You've got to have a number, you've got to have a farm number so that we can send you to Fred to sign up for his program, and he's going to speak about that after lunch. And to sign up through our farm, because it's an easier just identifying number. That's all it is. And you just need it in order to participate in our program.
The micro loan program, people apply if they are using,
A farm track number. If we have no intention of ever using any of your programs, is this?
Well, any of the programs that's related to, well, that he deals with it in EQIP, which is cost sharing through NRCS, that would require a farm track number.
So the suggestion, what I hear you saying is every one of us should get a
I
farm
would
track number.
recommend it.
If you
Plan to do anything
if you
related.
plan to do any business with us whatsoever, you need to get a farm number. But it's like if you have no idea, if you want to go with Forestry Commission and get, y'all don't use our farm numbers, do you?
The Forest Commission?
Y'all don't use our farm numbers, do you, for cost share
The
programs?
only thing we'll do is
When y'all help us out with the CRP program?
that's it. Jack, anybody that applies for any of our conservation programs, I'm with NRCS, I'm very good. Anybody, the first thing that I'll ask you when you come in our office is, do you have farm records established with a farm service agency? And if you do not, then that's where we'll have to work on, that's the thing we'll have to work on next, okay? Because we have to have a farm number and track number in order to process an application.
Yeah, you come to Fred and say, hey, I want to participate in the EQIP program. First thing Fred's going to ask you is, what's your farm number? And then if you don't know your farm number, you don't have a farm number, he's going to send you down the hall to our office. And then we'll have to set up a farm number based on the information we discussed as far as what you need.
Are there tax implications to having a farm number?